And we now have two guests who are joining us in the studio, and they are from Operation Linda Ugatuzi. The chairman is Professor Fred Ogola, and the Secretary General is Calystus Wafula. They're in the studio. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, the two of you. Prof, you've been here before. Calystus, karibu sana.
Thanks.
What is Linda Ugatuzi?
Linda Ugatuzi is a form of a civil society. It is in Kenya. We are in 47 counties. We have got coordinators in all the 47 counties. And it is just a champion of human rights, defense of democracy, good governance. And we are focusing much to defend people's rights and the constitution of Kenya. Yeah.
I'm not hearing the word Ugatuzi anywhere in your...
Devolution. It means devolution.
Huh?
You know, when you look at our constitution of Kenya, the revenue share is between the national government and the county government. So when you talk about defending the people, you can't remove the aspect of counties. That's why in our definition of Linda Ugatuzi, we focus much on the people at the grassroots level. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Du,
Yes.
did you know whenever you look at the map, traffic, do you know there's a road called Hendred Road?
100.
Yes.
I've seen it somewhere.
Where?
100 Avenue.
Hendred Avenue
Something like that.
in this Nairobi city.
I can't remember now.
City, do you know Hendred Road?
I'm hearing about it for the first time. Where is it in Kenya?
I think so. Prof, where is Hendred
It's in
Road?
Lavington.
Voila.
You see behind Valley Arcade? Yes, when you coming from Valley Arcade, you want to go to Gecko Car Wash.
Yes.
You know that area?
Yes.
That's the Hendred Road.
That road that goes from Valley Arcade up towards
Yes.
Gecko and meets with Hatheru.
So in between there is where the office of Operation Ugatuzi is. But now because offices are being raided, we are also on the cloud. We are also on air, off air,
You're
and
everywhere.
Yes.
All right. There's a letter that was written by Operation Linda Ugatuzi, whose address is Nantia Gardens, Hendred Road, to the Office of the Prosecutor, International Criminal Court in The Hague, the Netherlands. And the subject of that letter is request to file crimes against humanity in Kenya. Okay. Dear sir, madam, we hope this letter finds you well. Of course, all letters have to begin like
They
this.
must find you well.
All letters. We hope this letter. We, the undersigned, Professor Frederick Onyango Ogola, and the National Chairman, and Calystus Wafula, the Secretary General, writing on behalf of Linda Jamii, an organization where...
You know, look here. We wanted to register Operation... No, Eric, this is very important thing. We registered, we applied for 6 months to register Operation Ugatuzi. It was rejected in all levels we tried.
Right.
So then we registered Operation Linda Jamii as the name to be legal name.
Okay.
And then the brand name is Operation Ugatuzi.
Yes.
But
All
Linda
right.
Jamii now makes us be able
Is
to...
the
render-
legal entity.
Is the legal entity.
All right, so this legal entity, Linda Jamii, is an organization committed to upholding justice and human rights in Kenya. We hereby submit a formal request to the ICC to investigate and pursue charges against individuals allegedly involved in crimes against humanity in Kenya. Now, you say we attach below the concerns from the UN Human Rights Office. In spite of the statement, the state security organs have continued to operate in total disregard to this plea from the UN body. Of course, this you're referring to the statement from the UN Human Rights Office, which was on the situation unfolding in the country.
Yes.
And you say you want collaboration with the ICC. You're talking about the challenges in the Kenyan judicial mechanisms. You're saying as the Linda Ugatuzi and the Linda Jamii operation, despite Kenyan High Court's pronouncement that demonstrations are constitutionally permissible, the President and his Interior Cabinet Secretary have declared them illegal. This has rendered it challenging for Operation Linda Jamii to seek justice for the affected through the domestic judicial system, hence your appeal to apply for the ICC assistance. You also talk about complementing past judges. You say that in 2007 post-election violence, everything that happened with a view to addressing the ongoing unrest, the violence that threatens the lives and rights of Kenyan citizens, Operation Linda Ugatuzi is concerned that in spite of the fact that the current president was among those who are at the ICC court, his action demonstrates one who is untouched, learnt nothing, and remorseful about anything. His administration operates as if they can get away with anything because they got away with 2000 and 2008 violence. Now, basically, Prof,
Yes.
long and short, you've written to the ICC. You're asking to be allowed to submit an application for fresh investigations into the Kenya situation. Okay. Have you sent the letter?
Yeah, the letter has been sent.
Has it been
submitted.
stamped, received?
Yes, actually, it has been given a reference number, which I think we shared with your production team because I know that the editorial standards of Standard Group wouldn't have allowed me to sit here if I was just talking about hot air.
And payuka.
And I'm sure you could have not even allowed me to get into this room. I know very well so. And also, you see, I understand as a governance expert that we don't want to expose a media house to discuss things which are rumors. So the thing has been given a reference number, which can be referenced and can be referred to. And I think that we are on course. And now, if we just go to what is really making Operation Ugatuzi hugely concerned. Eric, Israel has been on the street for 3 months. No one has died. No property has been destroyed. South Africa was on the street the other day. No one died. Nothing was destroyed. If you ask me, what is it that is so different from what is happening in Kenya and where elsewhere there is no destruction of property and loss of life, there is one thing which is key. There is that pronouncement that happens on the evening before the demonstration by declaring them illegal. You know, once something which is provided for by the Article 37 of the Constitution stating that you have a right to a peaceful assembly, you must be unarmed and the rest. Once it has been declared illegal, then it's like the law has been suspended because you are suspending what is legal and you are suspending without using any legal provision. Then what happens is that Public Order Act, which will explain how this should happen, is suspended. So policemen are going to defend what is illegal, illegally declared illegal, and the demonstrators are going to demonstrate what is legal but has been declared illegal, which means we are going for illegalities. So when you go for illegalities, even the court refused to suspend it because it will have been illegal for the court to suspend what is given in the Constitution
As legal.
So as illegal. So it is these people causing the trouble.
Okay.
Today I was on set with somebody who is a senator, and he told me, Fred, how comes doctors went to the street? I don't know which group went to the street to demonstrate, and there was no loss of life or destruction of property. I told them that's a false analogy. When someone demonstrating about increment in salary, it's so different from when someone demonstrate against the presidency. Eric, if your wife would go, let's say, on a Cold War house, saying that unless you allow them to go for a trip in Mombasa over the weekend, there'll be no cooking for you dinner, is different from when they says they've got another man who needs to replace you. You'll react to those things very differently. So when someone is challenging the presidency, it cannot be looked in the same way as someone challenging increment in
As
salary.
a doctor asking for an increment in
Yes.
salary.
Yeah.
So why the ICC?
The ICC is a complementary court to the local courts. So what we are seeing is that there has been what's called act that is what we call defines the court, isn't it? Whereby a court pronounces itself and the government does not want to comply with the court because the court has no means to enforce what they say. And because of that, it seems that the powers that are, and that is in both sides, Because what's happening is that when people go for demonstration, we know there have never been any peaceful demonstration. So calling for one means simply that there is not going to be a peaceful demonstration. And then secondly, the role of the government into protecting people according to the Public Order Act says that you should be able to go to the demonstration. You should not just demonstrate, but also enjoy it, like people do enjoy. So all rights are not just meant to be given to you. Right or life should be given to you as right or life, but you also enjoy life.
So in this communication, who is being deemed as the perpetrator of these acts?
First and foremost is the government. So remember that as opposed to 2022-2007, it was whereby Raila Odinga had handshake with Kibaki, and in the process of the Ocampo 6, remember that the envelope was given to who? To Kofi Annan. Who gave them the envelope? You understand?
Justice
Waki, isn't it? Now, the fact that Kibaki and Raila did handshake, people ask why Raila was not in the Ocampo 6. We have to remember there's something we don't know that I can tell you now. That there's a way on which the two core principles were protected in those investigations. You understand? For the first time we're having whereby that time we are having a government in power that can be investigated because Kibaki was not investigated, neither Raila was investigated. So this matter, the government in power is the one who is accountable because they're the ones who declare an illegal demonstration, they declare them illegal, and now bring what's called illegalities, and we are having a demonstration which is not provided for by the Constitution because...
But Prof, there's something I don't understand.
Yes.
The point you're putting across is straightforward and clear enough.
Yeah.
Why the ICC?
Because the courts in Kenya have pronounced themselves and the law enforcement does not want to obey.
What cases do you present to the ICC?
The case we want to present to ICC is, you see, under the Rome Statute, there are 4 kind of cases you can take because we are talking about what we call admissibility and jurisdiction.
Yes.
There is what they call genocide. So according to us, there's a bit of genocide, but it's not very clear.
Okay.
But there's called crimes against humanity. So there is where we find, for example, aggression. Some people have been received serious aggression. Some people have been killed, isn't it? And some people have been denied even water, isn't it? Unlawful detentions. They all fall there. And if you look at the Rome Statute, there are other sorts of war crimes. There is no war in Kenya, so you cannot qualify for war crimes. So we are going for crimes against humanity. Look at Sondu in Kisumu, where the CS internal security appeared in Sondu, and look at his statement. He says that he urges the policeman to stop being biased, meaning that there are some people whom are anti-government protesters who are being disregarded in the process of protection, and these security operators in Sondu were helping the people who are supporting government to actually kill and injure those who are anti-government protesters. And this one falls within that crime against humanity because it's something which is orchestrated. Then secondly, Eric, the pattern we saw in 2007, 2008 is repeating itself. One of them was, remember, it was very critical for the people accusing William Ruto and Uhuru as people who committed this crime. They had to demonstrate it was premeditated and pre-planned.
Yep.
Kenya Kwanza MPs met in State House with the president on the matter, and one of the meetings passed was that they should counter the Azimio demonstrators. It was actually reported in the papers, Nation newspaper to be precise, isn't it? The day after, Azimio MPs met in Jaramogi Odinga Foundation and said they are going for demonstration, meaning that they knew this can be a bloodbath. So we are seeing the trend in 2007, 2008 repeated. In fact, we put that in our case. We can see that pattern very clearly. And then secondly, we are seeing a security force which has already made up their mind. Because you know very well, when the police are going to the street, they are not going to support or protect the monsters. They are going to act against them.
Allow me to just interrupt you.
Yeah.
Have they made up their mind? Are their minds made up for them?
The police?
They are the very discipline that they belong to, and the very training doesn't allow for this democratic free thought, free will, free whatever it is that you want to call it. They belong to a very specific cadre of individuals who, when they're given instructions, they follow. Now, unless you want to bring in another subject of conscience, and that's a completely different discussion.
Yeah, that's why we have 3 cases. Let me tell you, we have 3 cases. One case,
Yes.
we are going to file it on Wednesday. It's been worked on. Yesterday, we said all the people who have been hit in hospital, we are in Kenyatta. We have recorded evidence and saying we want IG to leave office because of the instruction he has given to people. You know, if I give you unlawful instruction, I'm breaking the law. So IG should leave office on those bases. So that's one part of it. Secondly, also, you are individually responsible for what you do. City Muga, I hear people saying, oh, the media is misreporting the government. I tell them, I am a trained media expert. If you look at the media house that is standard, I have taught so many of you, in fact, including your CEO. And one rule in the media is that the media should never be the news. So I'm sure you've kept that very faithfully. Like they had somebody accusing Nation by saying that there's pressure on Uhuru, Ruto, and Raila to speak. I said, no, it's not the media saying they should. Diplomatic committee are saying they should. The media has not said they should. So the media cannot be the news. The time they become the news, it ceases to be a media house. So even you have professional discipline you took. Doctors take Hippocratic act that they should always act on the interest of the patient, not any other person. And security officials also have the same act. You should protect the citizens. They maintain law and order, and it's clear on that. So you can't tell me about that. Your master has told you the wrong thing. I was fired from Strathmore for having been given the wrong instruction, which I refused to implement, and I left my job, City. It is a job that is not easy to leave, and I said I'd rather not have a job than to do something against the media. I was asked to send a media clip to Strathmore to edit before air, and I said I can't do it, and I was fired. That's what is called citizens who should be responsible.
So now
I'm responsible in my professional activity as a professor. I cannot be instructed by anybody except God to do what is illegal.
So, Prof, and I want then to bring in Calystus into the question.
Yes.
All right. When you go before the ICC, it's a criminal court. Criminal culpability is individual.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
If you look at all the cases before the ICC, it is individuals who are before court,
Yes.
not governments, not institutions.
Yes.
So when you say that you are applying to the ICC to take over a Kenya case, which individuals do you want to be taken to the ICC?
First of all, let me
By
tell you
name.
that, first of all, we must agree, all of us, we agree that Kenya has ratified the Rome Statute to be part of the Kenyan laws.
Correct.
And therefore, we have reason to believe that the crime being committed, the crime that has been committed against the people of Kenya was organized by top officials. And we believe that the president is the one in charge of the government. And when we say government, we cannot remove William Ruto in the equation. We cannot remove Kindiki. And we cannot remove Inspector General. Of course, we have other names of police officers who have been caught in camera, shooting and killing innocent demonstrators. We have established evidence where we can prove to the court that these crimes amounts to crime against humanity, which falls under court jurisdiction of ICC. We have also gathered information where the government had formed special squad in police unit whom were tasked to go out there and kill demonstrators. And also we have evidence to prove where this government had some people organized to go and disrupt a similar protest to cause violence, so that when they kill demonstrators, they have reason to do so.
Okay.
We had an incident where people invaded a private land of someone along Kamakis. Therefore,
let's stick to the threshold because
now,
here the issue is ICC, all right?
Okay.
That
now,
things
ICC,
have happened in the country.
Yes.
We could speak until tomorrow.
Yes.
But ICC, you're approaching the International Criminal Court.
Yes.
And you've got, just like you said,
yes,
admissibility and jurisdiction.
Yes.
Does the ICC have jurisdiction on this?
Yes.
And the matters that you're raising, are they actually meeting that threshold of crimes against humanity?
Now,
Just taking the example of the 2007-2008 cases,
okay.
the crimes against humanity was, there was killing, widespread killing of people.
Okay.
It appeared to have been the accusation was by the prosecutor was that it was organized, planned, orchestrated, and the people that the prosecutor was taking before court were those that were behind the organization, the execution of it, the ones at the top of it. And the whole argument between the prosecutor and the defense was, are you sure that these people actually planned, premeditated, planned and organized this? Why were the cases against the IG dropped? Why was the charge against the then head of public service dropped? It was about the threshold. Has it met the threshold? Now, this one that you're taking before the ICC, are you sure that threshold has been met?
First of all, let me tell you that some of the suspects that we are presenting to the court of ICC are already, they were there. They were charged for crime against humanity. And therefore, the question of threshold should not arise at this point, because some of these charges we are taking to the ICC, it is a complementary charges.
But ICC will ask that it meets a threshold. It really doesn't matter.
Now,
that there will be the demand for threshold at the ICC.
That's why
they won't just take in any case. There must be a threshold that has been met.
That's why I have explained to you, we have gathered enough evidence where we can prove that the crime being committed is being organized systematically from the top for police to implement. And we have people who have been, the Prof has just told you that we visited several people in the hospital. So we have the victims. Some of the victims will testify. They were just working in their workplaces when they were hit by the bullet. Therefore, we are trying to prove that crime being committed in Kenya is being organized by the top government officials, and the president is in charge.
Trying to prove or can prove? There's a big difference here.
We shall prove.
Because obviously, this is not child's play. Obviously, this is the ICC. We cannot take any nobody. It doesn't matter where you are. That you cannot just take anything to the ICC.
And I remember we have also
under the hope that it will be picked up.
Let me just,
so this is the question.
Let me respond on the threshold thing.
I need to clarify here because there is trying to prove and then there is presenting for proof. There's a big difference here. So what exactly are we saying?
So first of all, the threshold is met. And threshold is met clearly because, look, we looked at the flaw on the case that was in the ICC and we are learning. You always learn, and learning is important. So we have learned that one thing that was a weak spot was the issue of witnesses that did not be able to bring the threshold. The witnesses were individual witnesses, so they could actually be exterminated. And it was very clear how many witnesses died in that investigation. Here, we have institutional witnesses. That's why Operation Ugatuzi has got 47 in all counties we are present. Like if I call Sondu this morning, I wake up in the morning, I'll be told what happened in Sondu today regarding the situation. I can know what happened in Taita Taveta and Lamu and the rest, I can tell. So what I'm trying to say here is that we are going to go institutional. So if I leave this gate and someone blows my head, the evidence with Operation Ugatuzi. You understand? So before it was threatened, no, me can't threaten me. I have died already. I'm a professor with 24 certification with no job. What else should kill me? I'm not afraid of anything. Blow my head, but it is institutional. For example, if you go to the evidence we have in Kisumu, we have 8 lawyers in Kisumu who have gathered the evidence around Kisumu area. Sondu, we have 3 lawyers. And this evidence comes to us at Operation Ugatuzi at the head office. We have them stored in cloud. And look at the link. Look at ICC. If you go and submit a case in ICC, then reality is not a joke. So there is a link where we have already even put how evidence can flow automatically using technology. Eric, remember Operation Ugatuzi collected 7.8 million signatures when Raila, with all the power institutions, are working towards 10. Fred Ogola, who is it? It's about using knowledge, techniques, and strategy. So in this case also, we are going to approach it strategically. Thirdly, who was accusing who was accusing these criminals in court. Remember, they were not being accused by an institution like Operation Ugatuzi. It's Ocampo who was given these things by Kofi Annan. There was a weakness on who is the prosecutor. There was no interest from Kenya. And then also remember the issue when they spoke about threshold. They had agreed that there are some cases people bear the highest response. This was something done during the accord. And the accord limited how you are supposed to handle. They said people bear the highest response are supposed to go to the Hague. Then others will be prosecuted here.
Local courts. Yeah.
But the jurisdiction does not restrict that some people can be done here. It was an agreement. It was done by government. But this time we're not using accord. We're approaching this case as a fresh case, of course, learning from what happened before. And what I'm concerned about is that if William Ruto was in The Hague, he was not even scared of it. The way he makes statements these days is like he never went there. And we are concerned that ICC is both corrective, but also punitive, at the same time preventive. Yes. That's why we have asked the ICC lawyers to come in Kenya now as we collect. We have the date, the hour, the minute meeting took place in State House. We have the date, the minute, and the hour Jaramogi Odinga Foundation meeting took place. We have the date and the hour when this thing was done. So planning, orchestrating, executing, premeditating, we know. Ruto said, you will know who I am. You'll know me. I'll show you.
That's planning.
This was a statement. No, I'm saying when someone says it won't happen, what is constitutional? And I tell you that the IC has a provision by saying trying to legalize what is legal to create an enabling environment for crime to take place, because that happens. You have to creating an enabling environment for crime to take place has been orchestrated by the government. Kindiki has made statements. Bungei has made the statements. Kome has made those statements. Gachago has made those statements. Moses Kure has made those statements. Same statements being made by 8 people in the same government is not a coincidence. And you have to prove to me how can 8 people say the same statement, then later come back and congratulate the police. William Ruto congratulated the police for having done it. Today, I can see Mugatana said on live television when the Kenya Kwanza met after Mandamano by saying, the Mandamano failed terribly. Failure means people didn't die or property was not destroyed. He has to explain what does failure mean. You understand? Kenya, Azimio said it was a big success. They have to explain to us what is success. Is it the property
success
destroyed? Is it people dying? These are clear and evidence we are collecting. And remember, we are being guided by a lawyer from ICC now saying, now give us this one, step by step. Yes. So using the word trying is not supposed to be wished away, isn't it?
So what are you asking? Are you asking the ICC to come and investigate or to take up the matter?
If you look at that letter, we've given several asks. Cooperation also. We need cooperation with them. Because before, there was no one actually cooperating from internal. Yes. Now we are going to actually ask the Kenya Human Rights Commission that they should stop giving press statements and act. Because they have a budget for it. I'm asking
specifically, yes. Because I'm still lost.
Yeah.
Who takes a matter before the ICC?
Anyone can do. If you look at the Rome Statute, in fact, even the Rome Statute is very clear that if you know what you need to tell them and you don't, you are an accomplice.
All right.
Yes. So even if you know now,
that is raising a matter.
Yes.
For the prosecutor to begin investigations.
Yes.
Not to commence a case.
Actually, that's why we said. You see the letter.
Are you asking the prosecutor to come and start investigations, or are you asking the prosecutor to commence a case?
Actually, our ask there is, there's what we call apply to apply. These are stages. Even if you talk about, let me give an example, even here in Capital Markets Authority.
No, what are you? Just tell us straight for here. We can just completely understand.
We are submitting an application to submit an application to request the prosecutor to begin both investigation but also prosecution, because there are some evidence we have which do not need investigation.
Really?
Yes.
Is there evidence that does not need investigation?
Well, then
are you a recognized investigative agency?
The process of prosecuting any case begins with what?
Investigation.
First, investigation.
By?
But also prosecution. Yes, for us, we have evidence, we believe, that what are you investigating? What you need to do is confirmation. Because remember, there's what you call confirmation of charges.
So.
You can be charged, but charges also have to be confirmed.
Yes, but those ones are confirmed.
Is when after being confirmed court. Is when you begin now the trial.
Those are confirmed by the pre-trial court.
Yes.
After a case has been taken by the prosecutor, and by the
Yes.
time the prosecutor is taking, they are convinced that they have a case to take before court.
Yes.
Not Professor Fred Ogola.
No, I can't
or
do that.
Calystus Wafula.
Yes.
We don't have
Right.
that power.
Why didn't they take the case to the East African Court of Justice? Because that's what it's supposed to do. Or is it that the East African Court is going
Or
to
the High Court in Kenya.
Yeah,
Is there
they say
any
it's just window
demonstration?
dressing where Africans talk to each other and nothing comes of it. Well, the Africans have also argued that the Hague only targets Africans, except Milosevic, who was clearly not an African. But according to them, behaved like an African. How does he dare go around just killing other Europeans, even if they're only in his country? Bad manners. The point is this. Rome Statute is actually very clear.
Yeah.
The threshold, if you read the document, it's clear. It even tells you. And you can then understand when people go to the Hague, you can understand. You look at an individual and you ask, what does this person do? You can see where this person fits in.
Yeah.
You can understand very clearly. But then in our case here, okay, you are compiling the evidence. Now, I have to ask, even as you compile this evidence, the evidence that existed previously that took two leaders to the Hague, have the statutes of limitation run out of that evidence, and that issue was concluded or expunged, so it no longer matters, and you can't bring in the issue? I'm asking this question. The questions that the issue that you're taking to the Hague actually get to the very heart of who we are as a nation.
Yeah.
Not who our leaders are, who we are as a nation, because these leaders live among us. They are part of us. They are our people. Okay. And if our own legal jurisdictions cannot handle or manage them, does it then not also speak loudly about our institutions and what we think of our own institutions?
But it's what we think.
Yes.
There's nothing that has been presented by the two gentlemen or any other that Kenyan courts have been unable to handle.
We don't have evidence to that
Cases.
effect, do we?
We don't.
Yeah, let me tell you that, first of all, there are some, we have three cases. We have written also to the UN Security Council, which is more based on preventive, to find ways on how to prevent, because we can see this can escalate to something else. I remember when the 207, 208 took place, I was still a very young boy, and everything looked like a big surprise to me. But now, if I remain surprised with the same thing, I can see the trends are very similar, then I'm joking. So as the UN Security Council, look at this trend, you can see it. This is a trend that can actually go into mass action, that can go to mass killings. And the second thing, we go to the one of AIG. I've told you, our lawyers are working on a petition, which will be submitted on Wednesday. And there's nothing, Eric, I've ever come to this studio and told you and didn't happen. I talk about the Hustler Fund, you saw it happened. The board cannot take oath of office, they cannot discharge their duties, they can't benefit, or they can do nothing. So that happened. The one of IG, we shall take it there. In case that has not passed through, we shall also say that the Kenyan courts have failed, we escalate it. The one about the mass action and the issue of killings, police killings, the president has completely decided not to listen to what the court is telling him. And the courts have pronounced themselves very clearly. They cannot suspend this thing. This is a right. And he has decided not to listen to him. So how do I again go to court and tell the president to try him? And actually, according to the laws of Kenya, the president cannot be prosecuted while in office. But ICC has no such thing in their disclosures. If you tell me any act. I've read the Rome Statute from beginning to the end, even for the sake of just enjoying it. There is nothing written that someone in office cannot. That's why Putin has been declared that actually he can face the courts. In Kenya, which court can declare you investigate the president? You cannot even begin the investigation. Are you together? So ICC gives that provision. You can actually go ahead. That's why I won't go to East African court, because it's a waste of time. And then the other thing, which for me I think is very interesting in this situation.
Why is it a waste of time?
Huh?
Why is the East
Because the East African courts, we know, even the ICC declared that these things can go to East African courts. They never took up any step. And remember, the president, William Ruto, is not your kind of president. He's gone much now globally. He's talked in regional. I'm sure he has a lot of say. When you see these presidents meeting, they don't discuss about how the economy is growing. They discuss about how can you protect me, how can I protect you. Those ones we know
Prof, these same East African courts oversaw matters that pertained to the genocide in Rwanda. These courts, did they not?
What have they
It was a
done?
special
African
court.
courts.
It was a special court.
Yes, it was. East African. Okay? You know, the point I'm trying to make here is that I understand you are being cautious. You say you're seeing the trends and you're saying these things may be beyond the boundaries and the means that we have locally. So as not to sit and wait for anything, let me sound the alarm bells early. And let me tell the international bodies early that we have these problems and we need to start looking into it because they can escalate and we've seen these trends leading to certain problems and we don't want to get there.
Actually, Eric, the point being put here, the point we put in our case that Kenyan judiciary do not have the legal infrastructure and architecture to deal with this situation.
What does that
and we
mean?
demonstrate.
What does that mean?
For example, you cannot allow someone to say, I'm the head of state, I can do anything until I leave office. That's what the law says. You cannot investigate and prosecute this guy.
Yeah, but
there's no
else you
legal
can
infrastructure to stop.
Actually, that is why, according to our constitution, we have 3 arms of government, isn't it? Now, we have parliament.
But Martha Karua went to East African Court of Jury against the election. What happened? He was told you are wasting time because they have no enforcement mechanism in our laws. So you want me to walk through the same route of Martha Karua? I'm a strategist. I want to walk through the route of a politician. People say I have a plan. Me, I don't have plans. Me, I have strategies. Strategies are how to do it. And I won't walk the path of politicians. Me, I want to walk the path that I'm sure I know what can come out of it.
That strategy is not clear. And that's what I've been saying. And maybe Calystus, you can. What is the strategy here? That you go to the ICC. I asked, who are you taking to the ICC? Are you asking the ICC prosecutor to come and investigate specific individuals, specific actions? Or are you saying that we, the Operation Linda Ugatuzi, have a case and we are bringing this case before you, take it to the court? What's the strategy here?
Remember, Eric, we have talked about issues of planning. Under planning, William Ruto himself, as the President of the Republic of Kenya, has said Uhuru Kenyatta is financing Azimio. So, as we have asked ICC to allow us to file a case against this government. That is one ask. The second ask, we have told them to come and investigate the current situation in Kenya, so that when we commence our hearings at the ICC, the question of not ascertaining what we are giving should not arise. And we are partnering with the court to give them more support, to give them evidence, so that when we commence our case, it will have watertight evidence to send someone in jail. And I remember, when you talk about East African Court, it is not even competent than the Kenyan Supreme Court. So that is a waste competence in terms of delivery. They cannot give you justice.
Why? What makes you say so?
Or have there been incidences?
It is politically formed.
Have there been because usually when we form a position, it has come from something.
Yes.
So have there been incidences to show that the court then lacks competence to deliver on something like this?
The court is too political. Because now, when you have a case there, William Ruto can reach out to President X and
Shuttle diplomacy.
Yes. And they will kill your case
the
before
court is independent of the politician. Just like the Kenyan court.
But
just like the ICC is independent of government.
Humanity,
Eric, look at the success. The only success for East African Court was one on genocide. And
which one?
On the genocide. So you say that
the Rwanda one was not the East Africa Court. Yes. It was an international criminal tribunal on Rwanda. It wasn't.
ICTR was.
It wasn't the East African Court.
Yes. So I'm saying that the successes we saw, because there's some part of it that was part of the things which were very local about the same thing about genocide. There's some people who were taken to the East African Court. They were more because of the fact that who was the head of state. And where does it sit as per the cases? The head of state claimed that his people are being wiped away. So it was politically aligned that the cases can go right.
Yes.
So we have to look at alignment here. And I'm telling you, there's what they call false analogies. What does success mean? There are some things which have already been initiated in a way to succeed. Our case, for me, I told you, the strategy we have gone institutional because we know the biggest weakness was witnesses. And that was where the threshold was not being met. Then also, we have argued that human life is infinite in value. We don't have to kill 1 million to meet the threshold.
Yes.
Threshold is life lost. One person died, and we can say it was planned, it was pre-instigated, it was premeditated, and well executed. One person's life is equal to 1 million life.
Yes.
As a scholar, as a philosopher, we know life is infinite in value, whether it's 1 or 2. You can't say, I've just killed 1 person. You are a murderer, whether 1 person, 10 people, 1 million people, numbers is just a number.
That's true. But that's where the thresholds keep changing. All right.
The court has no numbers there.
It doesn't have number, but that's where thresholds keep changing. All right. If a police officer today shoots 1 person,
Yes.
right, does that mean that you can completely directly jump to the ICC and not follow the local court?
You have to prove.
You've got to show
whether it's genocide, which it might not be. But if this person, for example, is a cook danger, if you prove that this person would be a cook danger who ended up with a whole school of his own, a whole clan of his own, you can prove it if it's genocide. So the thing is that will it be a genocide? Will it be crime under humanity? And they stipulate and they define each and every, is it a war crime or something? So long as you can prove that works, I'm trying to say that's why numbers sometimes tend to support genocide, because genocide may look like you want to wipe out a population or a section of people, but also political crimes in community. If you wipe out a certain political leaning population, it can actually qualify because you say this is Azimio supporters, they need to die. You understand? If we can prove that, then it's supposed to say this actually is genocide, but it cannot be genocide because it is just crime against humanity.
Okay.
In fact, they even say torture. Even denying somebody access to food and water is torture. If it's systematic. And it was planned that anybody who is arrested will never get water, won't see food.
So this court is not political, but the court is alive to very many things.
Yes.
It's alive to, if you set a precedent of bringing a case because 1 person was killed and Professor Ogola came and brought this case before here, then now every other case in the world will be brought before us.
Yeah.
So to stop that, they look at, all right, we've got to have some admissibility threshold.
Yes.
Have you taken such a case before your local courts? Have you sought others? Because this is the one of the sort of last resort. Have you sought others before you come to us so that when we can commence this
actually,
case?
There's a provision that says that also is about the person, the claimants, justifying that I have seen 1, 1, 2, 3, and I don't see I can get my justice. Because also they are talking about the issue of being preventive also. So if you look at the panorama now, where, for example, let's talk about the case of Babu Owino, where he was in court and then he was declared to be given what's called a bail, isn't it? Before paying the bail, he was whisked away, isn't it? Chief Justice Martha Koome has not made a statement about it until now. If she has, tell me what, isn't it? Because in that thing they say, after even the policemen have shot people, there's a way they take measures. How do you deal with people who have been shot? Out of the 8 people who visited yesterday in Kenyatta, none of them has even been reached by a government to tell them how is it. That shows you wish them dead. Like example, no, I'm sorry, because I shoot you with a bullet, it hits your head, isn't it? I don't check what has happened to you. For example, let me tell you, even in crime, I'm in traffic, I hit you with a car, and I leave you in a situation which you can die. It moves away from causing accident to murder, because then I don't want to look at you and try to help you to recover.
Okay.
Ends there. We've got to conclude 10 a.m. Professor and Calystus, thank you very much for joining us. Let's hear what the ICC prosecutor tells you. All right? His name is Karim Khan.
Yes, we know him.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.